Welcome to the Small Business Minute. Today's topic is advice. For some time now, I've taken issue with the advice given small business owners on social media platforms under the guise of motivation and advice. Sadly, much of this advice being spewed forth by many of these so-called experts is, in my opinion, nothing more than hype to grow their popularity. But in order to balance my opinion and for research purposes, I have spent over 20 hours of listening to the audio versions of the books of some of these more popular gurus. And to be honest, my opinion hasn't changed. Listening to how we need to crush it or 10 times our activity, because if we don't, we'll never achieve our goals, is a little much. Now granted, we all need motivation at times, and COVID-19 has certainly increased the need. The ongoing pressure and changes has certainly amped up the challenges and anxiety of running a business. This increased strain can be draining, and after a while can leave us feeling a little lost, worn out, or just fed up. COVID-19 aside, many of us entrepreneurs have been there over the years. Most of the time, it's nothing more than a speed bump after a prolonged period of grinding it out. You see, successful entrepreneurs are for the most part pretty positive and optimistic individuals. We have to be, considering what it takes to survive, let alone thrive. That's why resilience is such a key characteristic of those that are successful. But even with our higher dose of resilience coupled with a higher than average positivity and optimistic outlook, sometimes it's just not enough. The tank is empty and we're done. It's what I like to call a poor me day. It's a day where we feel sorry for ourselves and wonder what the heck we got into and is it worth it. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business, poor me days can happen to anyone. The thing is, successful entrepreneurs don't stay down long, hence the name Poor Me Day, not days. Now on the bright side, a poor me day can be almost like a mental reboot where it clears your mental cache that has accumulated bits of negative experiences over a period of time. And much like your PC, this cache needs to be cleared every once in a while, so having a poor me day is okay because once cleared, we can get back to doing what we need to do. As I mentioned earlier, I do understand the need for motivation, and sometimes it's a tonic we need to jolt us back to reality. But reading a pithy meme on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, unfortunately, barely qualifies as motivation. Motivation is supposed to help us reset our compass and get our head screwed on straight again. Reading a witty meme or quote that is misattributed to some personality really doesn't cut it. Digging into a book or listening to an audiobook has usually done it for me. It gets me thinking. My preference is for the audiobook, especially when it's read by the author and allows me to get a truer sense of their message and their personalities. As a bonus, I can listen to them just about anywhere. However, what I find disturbing by the two top personalities whose audiobooks I just listened to was the messaging and the tone in which it was delivered. Let's start with the messaging. The last thing you want when you're down is someone telling you you're not working hard enough. Telling you that you've got to up your game and do a lot more, otherwise you'll never make it, and you'll be nothing more than average. Or, if you're not prepared to give it your all, sacrifice everything, put in longer hours in order to dominate, you'll never achieve the success you really want. Really? You call that motivational? I call it bull. But unfortunately, that's the underlying theme of these books. As for the tone, I found them to be a little too in your face. It's been my experience that what most people need when they're down is a calming voice or a message instead of someone screaming at you, telling you that you're inadequate and you're not putting in the effort. Listening to these audiobooks lets you hear the sheer arrogance of these authors that may not be conveyed when reading the text. I will say that if you can get by all the chest beating you have to endure, there are a couple of nuggets of good advice. But unfortunately, there's far more hollow advice that it makes me wonder how they've become bestsellers. Much of their advice is really nothing more than sound bites and lack any sound executional details. Although I'm pretty sure I'm not their target market, it does make me wonder who actually drinks their Kool-Aid, considering that there's just so many better motivational resources out there that offer much better advice. The good news for most is that many of these resources are free if you have a library card. Although they vary in selection, many of these libraries have digital collections that you can download, ebooks or audiobooks that run the gamut from sales, marketing, social media, and so on from a variety of authors. The only minor downside for some may be that you have to do a deep dive on a subject by reading or listening for a few hours. But let me tell you, no one book will have all the answers, but many will tell you how instead of just saying you should. So the next time you come across one of these social media posts, take a second to assess its true value. How does it help you move your business forward? Or are the authors just looking to increase their followers and likes? The choice is yours. I'm Greg Weatherden, and this has been your Small Business Minute.